Funny about that. You know who was asking about you the other day? Who's that? Nobody.
We talking about sports, get ball.
What it do, baby? Yeah.
What it do, you number one podcast listeners? We are back with a brand new edition of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. I'm your host, Premal and Vish, and this episode I'm joined by my big bro, Vish.
What up, what up?
Vish Bhatt. Glad you're back on here, Vish.
I think it's been a while.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I know, it's been a little bit, but here we are. Got a lot to cover, especially in the NBA world. It's going to be heavy NBA.
Yeah, happy to be on, man.
All right, let's get it going with Ya Fam or Nah. And we'll try to keep these short and sweet, but there is a lot to cover.
Let's go.
We'll try to keep it to a quick blurb, but I want to get your word or phrase association with each of these. First up is Ya Fam or Nah to the NBA draft. So a quick recap of some notable picks. The top five, the Atlanta Hawks, who had a 3% chance of winning the lottery, won it. And with the first pick, they took Zachary Rissache from France. Oh! The second pick was the Wizards, who also took a Frenchman in Alex Sarr. Oh! The Houston Rockets were third and took Reed Shepherd out of Kentucky. Oh! The Spurs were fourth and took Stephon Castle out of UConn. Oh! And the Pistons took the G League Ignite's Ron Holland. Oh! The other notable one, obviously, number 55 overall in the second round, the Los Angeles Lakers took Bronny James. We all like to pretend we're LeBron's family. That is actually LeBron's family, who joins him on the Lakers because LeBron recently signed a new 2-year deal, or a 1+1 deal. So they will officially be teammates now that they're both signed. I want to do that one, and I included this 55th pick because that's been the one that's getting all the attention. So I want to get a quick word association about the draft. And then a bonus Ya Fam or Nah to the Lakers draft and Bronny. Say that he wouldn't have been drafted had it not been the Lakers. They hate the nepotism. He's not a draft-worthy prospect, that sort of thing. So that's where the naysayers are at. That would be your nah. And Ya Fam, if you're cool with it. So Vish, take it away. Ya Fam or Nah to the draft, and then about Bronny.
So I will pick Nah to the NBA draft, and I have that for a later segment, I think.
Okay. I like
because
that.
I don't know half the names on that top five list.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then around Bronny, I'm a Ya Fam, you know? I think I dig it. I like it. And the reason why I think I'm going to zag where a lot of people zig, or vice versa, whatever it is. That's what I'm known for, right?
Yeah.
Were any of Michael Jordan's kids drafted in the NBA?
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
What about Shaquille O'Neal or Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell?
They sure were.
And Wilt had probably a lot of kids, too. So,
Great.
yeah, that's why I'm a Ya Fam, is that you just don't get drafted in the NBA just for the sake of nepotism, because it would have already happened, I think, by now. And so I'm a Ya Fam.
For sure.
Bronny is
That's a great point.
Bronny is a surefire. He's a second round. If he was drafted in the first round, I think we had some bones to pick. But I think in the second round, you're just taking flyers on these kids anyways.
Totally. So I'm a Ya Fam Bronny. I'll get more to that. I don't want to steal the thunder from the draft. I'm a nah to the draft, so which is surprising because I'm usually gung-ho about the draft. I did watch the NBA draft. I still enjoy watching it, but I won't steal any of your thunder, but I'm a nah to this year's version of the draft. I think I'll be back in next year. We're looking at quite a few big prospects in a pretty good draft in 2025. So those of you that are not feeling as excited about this one, let's wait and see for next year. Don't give up on it yet.
Okay, so if I was watching paint dry,
Yes.
I should probably stop for next year's. Okay.
Over to Bronny. I'm a Ya Fam to this. If the insinuation is about nepotism with LeBron, I would encourage you to look at front offices, coaching staffs. There are far more institutions in sports that have nepotism. There are far more institutions not in sports with nepotism. You mean to tell me we're going to hate on this being one of them? I mean, check that shit out the door is how I feel about it. If you're not going to have that same energy across the board, you're just being a plain hater. If your favorite player's son was good enough to be considered in the draft, hell yeah, you would do anything you can to have him. So even if it was nepotism, great. Who cares? Everybody does it. Yeah. And let's let the greatest basketball player of all time, if there's anybody who deserves that, if that's the case, it's him. And let's see what Bronny does. They're already saying he's going to play mostly in the G League. So fucking get off your high horses. He, like it or not, people are pointing to like his lack of production in college. He had a heart issue that happened that was out of his control, so that hurt his numbers. B, I would encourage you to look at a lot of the top draft picks, a lot of the lottery picks. They weren't the best players on their team, yet they still get drafted. It's happened time and time again. So you can't base everything off of college production. Otherwise, you'd be really surprised at the order this draft went. So I'm a yeah fan to this. Let's let Bronny prove it on the court. He has the measurables. He has NBA size, like you said. It's not like he won in the first round. Yeah. It's the end of the NBA draft that he went. And those are times when you're taking flyers and you can afford those luxury picks. And that's exactly what they did. So
100%. Yep. Good points.
Yeah, fam to that. But anyway, let's move over to, we got a few more of this off season, but first, before we headed into the off season, the last Prem Brulee episode we recorded was heading into the NBA Finals. Obviously, those wrapped up. The Celtics dominated the Mavericks in 5 games. Jaylen Brown was your Finals MVP. Yeah, fam or not to the NBA Finals, Vish?
I'm gonna say nah, fam. Not just because the finals were boring. I think for the most part, the entire playoffs were pretty boring this year.
Yeah.
I would say I think the Knicks and the Sixers were probably the best series, and that was in the first round.
Yeah.
Right. So, there were a lot of injuries. There weren't many competitive series. Like you could even point to the Wolves and the Nuggets, and none of those games were really that competitive. It was a 7-game series, and maybe the 7th game was kind of cool, but other than that, it was pretty much blowouts. And I would much rather prefer the Stanley Cup playoffs compared to the NBA playoffs, especially this year. Drop that, let's do that hockey thing.
But hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
I had to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs.
This is the source for all your hockey news. You number one podcast listeners already know. Big hockey.
And it's a very little component, but we thought we were heading into 2 sweeps going into the finals, NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup playoff, or the Stanley Cup final. And Edmonton won 3 games in a row, and they just kind of ran out of gas. But what a amazing series. Like a lot of those games were really close. And we still have one of the greatest probably to ever play, Connor McDavid. Even if you're not a hockey fan, some of the highlights and things that he was doing, what he does with the puck, it just is remarkable. So that's where I was like, nah, fam, to the finals and everything else, just because I thought it would be a little bit more competitive and just wasn't. What about you?
Yeah, number one podcast listeners, you know you come to me for all your hockey news, but if you're not a huge hockey fan like I am, to give you an idea of Connor McDavid, they give out the Conn Smythe Award for the NHL playoffs MVP, and even though he was on the losing Stanley Cup team, he won the Conn Smythe Award, which doesn't happen very often in hockey.
Yep.
So I learned a lot. I also dig, by the way, that in the NHL, when they hand the Stanley Cup, it doesn't go to the owner or the GM first. They give it to the players. I think the other sports should follow suit and do that exact same thing, because those guys didn't do shit. It's the players that did, and they should get first crack at the trophy, in my opinion. So love that tradition.
Even if you hate hockey or don't like it, the Stanley Cup itself is one of the greatest trophies ever. I mean, you are the reason why the players get it, the captain gets it, and why it's so important. Your actual engraving is on the cup. So that's why it's so big. It's gigantic, and it started small, and it just continues to add. Like your roster, like if you're on the roster for the Stanley Cup Final and you're a champion, it's on the cup, and it's cool that they also pass it around. Each player, kind of each person that's affiliated with the team, gets the cup at least once during the summer. So then it belongs back to the NHL. Like it doesn't sit in a trophy case or anything like that. It is one trophy, and that's it. There's no replicas or anything else.
Love that. Okay, so NBA Finals. I'm going to recap our picks from last episode. I picked the Celtics, but I definitely thought this series was going to be closer than it was. It was kind of disappointing to see. Kyrie didn't really have too many good games.
Right.
The Mavs looked way overmatched. This seemed like the Celtics finals to win, and they went and handled business, but it made for pretty boring content, I would say.
Yep.
Let's move over to the offseason and the big move of before free agency was the Los Angeles Lakers hiring JJ Redick as their head coach. Yeah, fam or not, give me a word or phrase association with that.
Yeah, fam. I love Duke. I love JJ.
Yeah.
It's a new coach. He had a nice interview with the podcast with LeBron.
Yeah.
Why not try it? Why not roll the dice?
Yeah. We're agreeing on these. Both of our takes feel like zags in true Vish fashion, by the way, because a lot of people are critical of this JJ Redick hiring. I largely think coaching doesn't make a huge difference in the NBA. It's like get out of their way. And clearly JJ Redick has strategy and knowledge of the game, and I think it is worth it when you see eye to eye with your star player and today's game, which he does. He knows personalities. He's played with some of these players. It wasn't that long ago he retired. There is something to that. And let's keep it real, guys. The Lakers already hired really experienced assistant coaches surrounding him. They hired Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan as Redick's assistant coaches in LA. Those are people with I think I read they have combined over 1,000 NBA wins. It's like,
jeez.
I mean, pump the brakes on him just being responsible for everything. They're going to surround him with success. And I say give him a chance. All these other people get chance after chance and end up stinking. So why not try someone new? They tried to get Dan Hurley from UConn. They made an effort. It's not like JJ Redick. They were going to hire him over someone who's that qualified, who's back-to-back national champions in men's college basketball. But they liked what they heard from him. So I'm for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Mostly because I think it's a players' league, and LeBron's a coach out there anyway. Okay. You had one to add to FM or not, Vish?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the second apron starting this year, especially as we start to get into some of the free agency moves and some of the trades that came down? Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on it? And we can probably give a recap if you want of what some of the restrictions would be.
Let's do that for the number one podcast listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're not a salary cap nerd, some people don't understand the salary cap and what.
Yeah.
This is actually through the collective bargaining agreement, and NBA Players Association and the owners agreed to this. But I'll let you give a quick breakdown.
Yeah, essentially, so in the past, the first apron kind of is what it's called. It's what it has always existed. It's the luxury tax. Teams that are going to be competitive, they'll just pay a shit ton of money and be okay with it. And there was no penalties for it. Now there's essentially this hard cap. If you hit this second apron, and they kind of set it based on different standards, it's in every team's in the same way, you might not get penalized in the first year or so, but if you go against the rules or go against the second apron, your team can be penalized in a shit ton of ways. Yeah. So they were just talking about LeBron James signing his max, and he's trying to get $1 million less, so he's not hitting that second apron. Yeah. And essentially, some of the penalties can be you can't sign mid-level exception players, so you can't sign those veteran players to round up your roster. You're essentially just using rookies to round it out. If you continue to make those penalties around it, your draft pick could go to the end of the first round. and then you can only trade dollar for dollar. So you can't put two salaries together and come up with an amount, and then you can't take on any more money. You can't throw in cash considerations or anything like that. And I think those are just some of the small snippets. So a lot of teams are a little afraid of it. So I think that it's good to have that understanding going into what we're talking about here, the free agency and stuff. But are you a fan, or do you kind of hate the second apron rule?
I'm a fan to this completely. I think if you're going to have a salary cap, this helps keep it fair. And we're seeing already the result of this over the years. Teams have kind of shifted away from this big three era because the league has gotten more competitive. There's more parity in the league. And I think this helps facilitate that. That was clearly the focus. I think you're going to see the recipe now is going to be 2 star players and a lot of good role players. And I think you're going to see that it just happened with Boston. They got 2 heavy hitters, and they're not cheap by any means, but they have a lot of players that are not quite that max level. I'm a fan for this entirely. I love the penalties because it seemed like the same teams were just able to fudge the salary cap, so to speak, and they'd be way over just because they're retaining their same players. This penalizes that and doesn't give them as much freedom to do so. And you're seeing the result of that in this offseason, which we'll get to shortly. What about you?
Yep, I agree. Also, it's kind of early to tell to exactly figure out this is. I also think there should be something on the other side of things for those teams that continuously just tank and do different things. And I think because of the second apron, there's going to be much more of those top teams less likely to go after those superstars, to your point. So maybe the parity starts to even out a little bit, but you don't have the same old Pistons that are at the bottom of the bottom of the league and still getting the 5th pick or whatever it is. So I think I'm a fan, but I think there just needs to be some level of understanding. I know there's some podcasts that are out there that are like, there should be some caveats for those players that you draft and that you're able to retain so that you're not penalized. So if you look at Boston, they aren't penalized for Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. They might be penalized for some of the other acquisitions they made, like Porzingis or White or Holiday, right? And so I think that's something where, I think it makes sense that if you actually hit a home run on some of these picks, you shouldn't really be penalized, but I mean, those are few and far between anyway, so I don't know. Yeah,
a good one. There'll be more and more about the second apron. You've already started to hear it, no doubt, if you watch sports shows. But it'll be an important consideration depending on where your fanhood lies. So if you're a Boston fan, you're looking at a pretty small window of running it back because then Boston will be forced to reevaluate and probably get a little younger. So, okay. NBA free agency is up next. There's a lot to cover here, so not much of a fam or not here, but and we'll get our thoughts on what our favorite moves are later. But if you have anything to add with any of these, I'll go over a few of them for you number one podcast listeners just as a recap. Mikal Bridges was traded from the Brooklyn Nets to the New York Knicks. He joins his Villanova teammates on the Knicks, which if you're a Nova fan, you're probably a Sixers fan, so you're way conflicted because your beloved Villanova players are on the enemy Knicks team and they're all loving it. It seems like Brooklyn is very committed to this rebuild. They have acquired a whole lot of picks. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not done. I think Cam Johnson's probably going to be one of those people they try to trade, but the Knicks are definitely loading up to try to compete with the Celtics and in the East. As we kind of covered, the Knicks were the 2 seed in the East. They were doing pretty well. Brunson got hurt in their Game 7 against the Pacers in the semifinal round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. They had injuries heading into the playoffs. Julius Randle. So anyway, big get for them. Mikal Bridges, huge numbers guy. He was Brooklyn Nets' best player. He's turned into, I don't know if you say superstar, but he's definitely a star player. Definitely a nice compliment to Jalen Brunson. Next up, Paul George leaves home in LA and he is going to go to the Philadelphia 76ers. DeJounte Murray was traded from the Hawks to the Pelicans. That experiment with Murray and Trae Young was not successful, so he joins a Pelicans squad, which I frankly don't know what the plan is there. I don't know if it feels weird to say, but Klay Thompson is not going to be on the Snakes of Oakland. He decided to join the Dallas Mavericks. I am equally surprised that he did not join the Lakers. His dad played for the Lakers, probably grew up a Lakers fan, so very surprised at his move. His dad went on an interview and was not happy either, so but like his dad said, it's a grown man making a decision, so he's going to join Kyrie and Luka in Dallas. A notable move out of a role player, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope joined the Orlando Magic, who I know we talked about the NBA playoffs being pretty boring. Vish, you said one of the early series that was pretty good was the Cavs and Magic.
Yeah.
So Magic had a key player around their upstart young team. We mentioned the Knicks. Their one casualty was a key big man that they had, especially in the playoffs. Huge rebounding machine. Isaiah Hartenstein joined the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then some notable re-signings staying on their team. Mentioned him already, LeBron James. James Harden re-signed with the Clippers. Pascal Siakam re-signed with the Pacers. Tyrese Maxey signed his max deal with the Sixers. Donovan Mitchell is back with the Cavs. I'll be interested to see what the Cavs do. It doesn't feel like Mitchell and Garland are a good fit. I've talked to a lot of Cavs fans, and they're happy that Mitchell's staying, but I think they kind of need a revamp. I think a lot of teams are more interested in Jared Allen. Do they let go of that and kind of stick with Evan Mobley, who's been really good for them? I think it's time to probably commit to a little bit of a revamp. Mitchell sets himself up to get a huge max deal in a couple years because he signed I think a 2+1 deal.
Yep.
And then the Boston Celtics gave a max deal to Jason Tatum. I think it's the richest one in history. They also signed key player Derek White, so they are definitely running it back next year with pretty much the same roster. Okay.
Yep.
Went through all those. You got a few that you want to talk a little bit about, Vish?
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned it. I'll kind of do one of the big names. So Paul George to Philly. It's one of those things where I think you're on one side or the other side of the fence. I mean, I think if you're Philly, this is why you got cap room. Yeah. You already had Embiid locked in. You're able to get George, and then you're able to lock in Maxey, who's their young superstar as well, to be able to take the reins. So if you're really just replacing Paul George with Tobias Harris, who continues to make a shit ton of money, even though he does not
sign with the Pistons, by the way, with a big deal again.
Petty, so I don't have to get petty.
It's almost a no-brainer to have Paul George, but I don't know if he is the superstar that we think he is, especially at his age now. He had that horrific injury, I think, in USA basketball, and kind of set him back. And then he just hasn't been the same. He just jumped around from team to team. I think even more recently, Bryant Windy even said he's been a headline catcher for the last 4 years when it's traded to OKC, re-signed in OKC, traded to Clippers, and now
for a shit ton
to the 76ers. Yeah. And so, I think it's just something where I'll believe when I see it, and the Sixers are almost like a cursed franchise anyway. So we'll see what happens. But when you're jumping from Kawhi Leonard to Joel Embiid, it's like one unhealthy player to another healthy player. It's risky, but hey, to each of their own. And he's back in the East, which is a little bit easier of a conference to get through than the West.
Yeah.
And then I think the other one I wanted to mention was KCP to Orlando. I think this is a big loss for Denver. They lose a role player. I think they're just wasting time with Jokic. I think you and Roche talked about it last time, where he just worried about the horses and all the random shit that he has, but great move for Orlando. They just add more defense to already one of the most fantastic defensive sound teams. They allow the young core to make more steps without having someone that's going to request the ball. So love those two picks in general. What about you?
Yeah, I love those two discussion points. I'm with you with George. I don't think it makes a difference, and I still think the Sixers are on the outside looking in from the top players in the East. Oh, and by the way, we are forgetting about a Milwaukee Bucks team who did not have
that's right.
Giannis healthy in the playoffs at all. He didn't play at all. So, by the way, while everybody's talking about like the Knicks and Celtics, the Bucks are still sitting there. I really like the Hartenstein move to OKC. He's another like key role player, and I think while the Knicks most undoubtedly got better, Hartenstein was like a really important piece for them. Really important depth piece in the bigs, getting rebounds. So yes, they'll get Julius Randle back, but then how thin are they going to be in the front line?
Right.
The same token, he adds a lot to OKC, and I think he'll be great for that team. Klay Thompson to Dallas surprised me. I mentioned a little. I really thought he'd go to the Lakers once it looked like he wasn't going to stay in Golden State. I really thought he was going to go to the Lakers. So I think he cited a more championship-ready contender and no state taxes that played a role in him choosing it. So interested to see how the Mavericks revamp. I think Derek Jones Jr. is gone, he was a starter for them in the finals. They got Klay Thompson in, some other signings, some pluses and minuses, but keeping their main core intact. So interested to see how they fare in the West. But like the ones that you pointed out, and I already talked a little about the Donovan Mitchell situation.
Another thing that you wanted for the Thunder, they also had a Caruso, which was a nice get for them. So they were the 1 seed going in last year to the West playoffs, and they kind of ran into a Mavericks team that just out hustled them and out rebounded them, and they were right there like each game. And SGA is just already a superstar, top 5, arguably top 3 type player already. But
MVP contender this past year. So interested to see what happens as they get a little bit more experience, and those playoffs are probably big for them to have gone through that. So
yeah, good point about the Bucks. I completely forgot about them.
It does, like what you brought up, that second apron and these salary cap implications have made this a wide open league. There's no clear favorites going in like we were used to for all those years. So it's going to be tricky to predict things. But number one podcast listeners, you know what time it is. Let's hit that You Played Yourself intro.
I'm petty as hell. And I'm super petty. Here we Petty Le Pew. Go.
All right, number one podcast listeners. I know we're covering a lot of basketball, but I had to cover this one because it got me so salty. Okay. Texas A&M head baseball coach Jim Schlossnagle, after his team lost the College World Series to Tennessee very recently. I think it was a tough series. I think it went to 3 games. His team lost. After losing the College World Series, he went on a rant when one of the reporters asked him about potentially taking the University of Texas job. Take a listen.
Coach, with respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
So, number one podcast listeners, you no doubt know by now what happens next. You know what he did exactly one day after this little rant of his? He took the fucking job he was asked about by that reporter.
So, congratulations. You played yourself.
Listen, number one podcast listeners, I get raw emotion after a loss. How many times have we seen people handle this before in the right way, where they say, hey, now's not really the time. I just want to be with my team right now. We'll talk about it when it gets here. And that's it. No further questions. It's happened time and time again. But this high and mighty high horse bullshit, this how dare you stuff from players and coaches with next jobs and contracts is so fucking lame to me. The insinuation that it's not a valid or appropriate question is just, I mean, at worst, it's just incorrect, because clearly it was valid. Clearly you had a contract in place, because newsflash, these things don't just come together in less than 24 hours. You signing a deal and it being announced already. That shit was already pen to paper, ready to go. So clearly it was a valid question. You just didn't like that someone found out your shit. Is it too much to ask to just not be a dick about it? Like, is it too much to ask for these athletes and coaches to realize, like, these people have jobs to do too? Sure, there are probably some reporters that are malicious, but that so clearly was a fair question. And you know they're coming. You have to know when you walk in that room, they might ask me about this. Let me take a second if I'm hot about something. Or maybe your press person can warn you. They're probably going to ask about this. Maybe you're prepared for that. I don't know. Take a fucking second. Go walk it off. I don't know. But the high and mighty bullshit where we act like, how dare you ask this question, is so stupid to me. Like, we see right through it, and it's just disrespectful to people doing their jobs too. Just be an athlete or a coach or a professional and just say, now's not the time to talk about it. It's so easy. It's been done before. Nobody's pressing you. If they continue to press you, then maybe you have that attitude. Like I already said, I'm not going to answer it. But to just start it off that way is just stupid. That one's just silly. Okay. My next one has kind of a big wind up here. But follow me with this one, you number one podcast listeners. My You Played Yourself goes to this habit of fans claiming historical titles by their favorite team. So the reason this came to me is the Boston Celtics obviously won the NBA Finals. The big thing everybody wanted to talk about was that it was their 18th title. It is now one more than the Los Angeles Lakers. They break a tie for most titles all time in the NBA. My You Played Yourself kind of tease off from this tweet by Arash Markazi on X, who responded to this 18 title stuff. He said the following: since Magic Johnson and Larry Bird entered the NBA in 1979, the Los Angeles Lakers have won 11 championships and the Boston Celtics have won 5. I get the significance of breaking the tie with the Lakers at 17, but the Celtics have won just 2 titles since 1986.
Jeez.
Obviously, we well know those, the 2008 and then 2024. Here's where I take it from here. You know, number one podcast listeners, I have to take it a step further. We got to sound that alert, baby.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Ready, let's go.
I think there's a statute of limitations for claiming titles. And I think there has to be. I think we got to agree on it with fans. I definitely don't think you should be able to claim titles before you were born. Let's just start there. I think a lot of people agree with that, probably. I don't think Celtics fans should be claiming 18. I don't think Yankees fans should be claiming as many as they do. You weren't alive for most of them. Give it a rest. But here's where it goes a step further. I largely think bragging about franchise titles past, let's say generously, 10 years is corny.
Petty, right?
Hey, are you calling me petty?
Yeah, you petty.
You petty.
And I'm not even at 10, but I'll give you 10. None of the players, coaches, and competitors are the same. So I think claiming a title has no bearing on anything. Like, talking shit about it means nothing to what you're watching today. Rumor has it I'm allegedly a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh gosh.
And I cringe when fans bring up rings. Cowboys fans always want to bring up 5 rings. Claiming a far in the past title is not even a worthwhile discussion. Nothing says, like, I'm not going to have a productive conversation with you if that's what you're going to bring up. Sports is the ultimate what have you done for me lately industry. The franchise you root for used to be good. So fucking what? Who cares? We shouldn't be claiming rings that were so fucking long ago. The Dallas Cowboys last won one in 1995. I was 4 years old. 4 fucking years old. I'm 33 now.
Sorry, I had to laugh.
Let's put exactly like that puts it in context, right? Imagine me now talking about a title from when I was 4, and then picture those two people arguing. Me arguing with a 4-year-old. Imagine how fucking stupid you sound. So, my fellow alleged Cowboys fans, can we once and for all give it a rest? The 5 rings haven't happened in a long ass time. The 3 most recent ones haven't happened in a long ass time, and they aren't coming anytime soon. So we got to give it a rest. We got to treat this franchise like the dumpster fire it continues to be, and the fucking mediocre franchise and disappointing franchise it is. They haven't been good in a while. Stop claiming it like it's going to happen. Okay, back to the NBA.
It's simply incredible.
little side fork in the road here. It's not even football season, but plenty to come. Okay, so I used the example of claiming titles past a generous 10 years. Just to give you, number one podcast listeners, context, because this came from the NBA Finals. So I'm going to tell you, 10 years ago, the Finals was the Spurs beating the Heatles, the Big Three in Miami, to win the Finals. That was 2014, LeBron's last year in Miami. Are we saying that Spurs title is relevant to today? They have absolutely no one except Greg Popovich still on that team anywhere near it. They've now cycled to a number 1 overall draft pick and another couple top 10 picks. Tim Duncan's not there. Tony Parker's not there. Manu Ginobili's not there. No one is there. Are we still saying that's relevant today? In fact, I'll take it a step further. I think only Kawhi Leonard is still even in the league from the Spurs roster. And then on the Heat roster, the age-defying LeBron James on the other side. And yeah, you guessed it. Neither one is on the same team that they were 10 years ago, because why the fuck would they be? Let's say I even give fans 10 years. Like, you Spurs fans can go wild on the Riverwalk, like, because you won fucking 10 years ago. Let's go back to 15 years. Do you know which finals that was, Vish?
Clue.
Lakers over Magic. Dwight Howard's Magic.
Oh, wow.
15 years ago. So, you think Lakers fans should claim that one 15 years ago? Let's go back 20 years. It was Detroit Pistons over Lakers. That was Karl Malone still in the league on the Lakers. That was Shaq and Kobe's last year together on the Lakers. That was the all-defense Pistons with Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, and Rasheed Wallace. You think...
Holy shit.
I mean, number one podcast listeners, serious question out here. Are we letting an 18-year-old talk shit because their currently atrocious Pistons beat Kobe and Shaq then, when that 18-year-old was 2 at the time? You're going to let an 18-year-old who was 2 years old at the time talk shit to you when they're a fan of the Pistons, who are an actual trash team year in, year out? They're so bad that they can't even win the NBA lottery. They're that bad. And you want an 18-year-old Pistons fan to be able to claim a title from when he or she was 2 years old. It's time to give that a rest. You played yourself. Claiming historical titles is so stupid to me. It's like the most worthless discussion ever. You're not a historian. Like, it means nothing. It has no bearing on your discussion of how good your team is, especially lately.
Oh, pretty incredible there. I was not expecting really any of that. And especially when you put it into context that the Pistons beating the Lakers 20 years ago also makes you feel a little bit older.
Yeah.
I think in context, the only reason why people resort to this is because they do have that affinity towards that team, right?
Yeah.
They have rooted for this team. They actually are not rooting for players, which is more the generation now, I think. Yeah. More so than anything. There's probably still a good handful of people out there that actually root for teams and franchises and continue to do that no matter who goes in, what happens, or the likes thereof. But for the most part, I think it has shifted and it's changed a little bit. And I think the landscape has also shifted even more so than that. But I think that's where some of these components and why people hang on to that is because you're trying to get back to that sweet spot, right? You're trying to get back to what that looks like. And I think that's something where even with the Lakers and the Celtics, and you look back at what that is, I think 79 is a perfect inflection point of what the current titles look like, right? I mean, Celtics fans will argue that Lakers are counting titles when they were in Minneapolis. So is that the same thing? And so I think there's always going to be some of those, but I really appreciate this rant, and I am fully supportive of what you are kind of putting out there, just because it is really silly when you think about it, because at the end of the day, you're just arguing for the sake of arguing, right? when you're talking about franchises. Like, you're never going to be like, oh yeah, the Cowboys have been pretty good. I'm like, you're like, no, they fucking suck. That's what it is. Or the Celtics, they haven't really won. Yeah, you can't argue facts, but again, it's pretty incredible. I was not expecting that. That's why I was laughing a little bit, especially when you brought in the Cowboys. I always appreciate that. I think the number one podcast listeners also appreciate your Cowboys rants too.
We know why you tuned in, you number one podcast listeners.
We bask in your misery.
Yeah, plenty of that to come, guys. Don't worry. Football season is upon us. I think we're like 8 Saturdays away from college football. So, and NFL's not far behind. Okay. You know what? Speaking of not turning back the clock and claiming what once was, we're not getting any younger. So now more than ever, I need things that are clean and good for me, but still give me a boost in my attempt to claim my own youthful past title. You like that? That's why.
Yeah, I like that.
That's why I'm glad I've been using Magic Mind to start my day. Sometimes I use it alongside caffeine, and other times I've allowed it to cut out my caffeine in the morning. I feel alert and energized starting the workday with it, or if there's a busy weekend day, I take it sometimes too. Vish, have you gotten to try some yet?
Actually, no. I think the more you've talked about it, I have to at least give it a try and see what it's like. I've never been one for energy drinks in general. I just don't like the taste and don't like that amount of caffeine. I don't live the lifestyle sometimes. I do live the lifestyle a lot of times though. So I'll drink coffee most of the time, and Diet Cokes is my vice. But I think that's where love to everything that you've talked about with Magic Mind. It's like, oh, it's actual good energy that you're putting into your body rather than the chemicals. And especially, coffee is just coffee and basically water. But I think the Diet Cokes I love Diet Coke, and I know I need to stop that. So
I gotta make sure we get you some.
Yeah.
For me, it's provided focus and clarity, so I'm not as fatigued at work or at home or on this mic for you number one podcast listeners. And it's all natural, so there's no guilt, and it fits my effort to watch what I put in my body. So whether you're embracing what age you are, trying to reclaim your youth, or just flat out watch what you put into your body, Magic Mind gives you number one podcast listeners the clean boost you need to handle all facets of your lives. You can go get yourself some at magicmind.com/prembrulee. Enter the code BRULEE20, that's BRULEE20. And with it, you can also get up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your one-time purchase. That's BRULEE20 for up to 48% off. It also works if you've already been a subscriber. You can save on your next subscription payment. If you have a lot going on in your life, you're looking for something convenient and clean, I would really encourage you to try Magic Mind out. You know I wouldn't steer the number one podcast listeners wrong. So be sure to go to magicmind.com/prembrulee. You know how to spell it because you're here for a reason. And enter the discount code BRULEE20 for up to 48% off. I would get the 30-pack if I were you. It's the best value, and I think it's the most convenient to grab and go without running out easily. So you can just grab one. I keep it at the top shelf of my fridge, and it's easy to grab once I'm heading into the office.
Nice. We'll have to try it out.
Yeah. Vish, I want to do a payoff. And speaking of, something that probably could have used some Magic Mind, I think you have something in mind to talk about.
Yeah, I kind of alluded to it earlier in my huge fam and basically equating watching the NBA draft to watching paint dry, and that I'd rather watch paint dry. So it's something where whatever you think about the actual draft itself, it's just an awful production all around. Totally. And I think that's why I don't watch it.
Yeah.
You can say what you will about some of the players, and especially two Frenchmen going back-to-back 1 and 2. That's great for international play, but we don't really see them. And I think that's a larger setting, and this is why it's on You Played Yourself, because ESPN, the partners, Turner even, they don't do a really good job of hyping up the NBA draft during the season. Unless there is that true superstar unicorn, the Wembanyama, the Lucas, you name it. there really isn't too much to go off of. Even if you go
I
back
would
to
argue they didn't even publicize Luka that well.
Yeah, and
Wemby was another thing, but
Luka was just crazy.
Yeah.
And then you think about Jokic, who was a 3-time winner. You think about SGA,
Yeah.
who was runner-up in the MVPs. You think about even Giannis, who you barely had even any highlights to be able to show on the NBA draft. That is just poor production all around. And I really blame our worldwide leader in sports, ESPN, for this. And I really hope something changes, especially as we look at the new landscape and what comes in. We don't see that with the NFL.
Yeah.
We don't, right? And yes, there's a lot more players. There's a lot more positions.
They play for longer in college.
They play for longer in college, so you understand the connection to these players. But the fact is, you have the Matt Millers, you have the Mel Kipers, you have the Todd McShays. Todd McShay was off actual media, but you could find him on all the podcasts and all the Sirius XMs this past year. And those are people that are dedicated to understanding players that are coming out year in, year out. And you look at even the broadcast where Jay Billis is like the only college basketball guy that's there. Fine. There's not that many college basketball players, but there should be someone that's based in international, someone based in the French league, someone based in other European leagues, certainly someone based in the G leagues, right? Yeah. And so I think that's something where they're trying to do something, and I just don't think they really understand what they have.
Yeah.
And if you can market it nicely, and we're not even just talking about the lack of trades and players always putting on the wrong cap and not understanding, even if you are an avid NBA fan. I think there was an interaction with you and Jeff on X where you guys were kind of going back and forth, and it was like, you can't even follow it, even if you are an NBA like avid fan. And so I think that's something where it is a big you played yourself. They try to put the 2 rounds on different days, and the second round was like in the middle of the fucking day.
Yeah.
I have no idea
4
why.
p.m. Eastern, yeah.
Yeah, it was at 4 p.m. Like, and then even if you're thinking about California time, that's legit like after lunchtime. Like, we're missing the mark. We're losing it. And so I just hope that one of the new partners that comes to the table with the NBA is like, hey, we should really put a lot of energy, a lot of, magic mind into these products, right? So tying it back, but I think that's just something where I alluded to it earlier, but it's just the NBA draft is just horrid. Even next year when it's supposed to be a great draft.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch it past like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You already kind of know what's going to happen. You probably already going to know who's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then who cares?
Yeah.
I just needed to make sure I got that off my chest. And I
love that one. You alluded to it, but my biggest issue is how the NBA has not figured out how to do draft day trades. And you talked about them wearing the hat that they're never going to play for that team, why they can't figure it out. They're literally at the same network where the NFL draft is held every year, and it's such a great spectacle, draws so many viewers like you alluded to. Just borrow from that. I don't know how the NBA doesn't follow suit. The NFL is like the top sport for a reason. They've created a spectacle out of the draft, and nobody else has lived up to it because they just refuse to buy into the same tactics. So that part's confusing. You're watching and you're like, okay, so this player's going where? They got to do like the projected trade to so and so. It's like half the time they're talking to the drafted player, and they're like, yeah, so we heard you're going here, and sometimes it's news to them. Other times they're like, yeah, and while they're wearing the wrong team's hat. That bothers me so much. And yet the NFL figures it out immediately. It's like you see, oh, trade accepted, and it's like Roger Goodell comes out there's like, they've traded a pick to so-and-so, and here's who they pick. Why can't the NBA figure that out is beyond me.
It's super simple, and it just is something where it's happened for a long time. We just got lucky just based on college basketball, understanding players and understanding kind of that longevity thing. But the players that stick around longer are not going to really go high in the lottery, right?
Yeah.
So there's really no correlation to anything. And a lot of it is just still a roll of the dice. And yeah, I think that's where it stinks. And then you just don't have the right people on the desks talking about it. You can't just have Stephen A. Smith that has really no understanding of anything. Yes, maybe to say this team needs this player, but it doesn't work like that in NBA. Like, these are role players essentially, unless you find that unicorn like a Wemby, right? So it's rare, or it's a work in progress. Like, it's going to be a player like Anthony Edwards that goes really high and doesn't become something until a few years later, right? Doesn't become this face of the franchise until that, because it was Karl Anthony Towns, right? And so I think that's where something needs to change, and I don't know what, but it just everything around the NBA, and it's extra product. They do free agency really well. They can figure out the draft.
Yep, totally agree. Okay, let's wrap up. You played yourself with our non-sports ones. My non-sports you played yourself is the use of "in my blank era." That needs to be fucking retired forever. Y'all are beating this into the ground, bringing it back to life, and killing it again with, I believe this is a Taylor Swift thing, and I think even Swifties are tired of other people, companies, everything bastardizing this phrase. It bothers me so much that I saw it on the window of a food place that was like saying "in my," like, I don't know if it's like sandwich era. It's like, everybody's in a fucking sandwich era because sandwiches are delicious. It's not an era.
Yeah.
It's just life. Like, you don't need to be in everything doesn't need to be in a fucking era. So that's my you played yourself. You are beating it to death. Please stop. Please stop, everybody.
I love it.
You got one?
I do. So because we're recording on July 4th, I would just say fireworks in general.
Yeah.
It's not just in your neighborhood when they go off. I am so lucky. My two dogs, my son, don't bat an eye with fireworks right now.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is going to be like our first year that we'll experiment with like sparklers and stuff with Calvin. But either way, like, shooting off fireworks, especially in your neighborhood, I think they're still going off. It was fucking raining today in Akron, and people were still shooting off fireworks. Like, what are you even looking at?
Yeah.
And I get it. I give you a pass for the actual July 4th, maybe the 3rd, because most people have the 4th off. But if you were starting on July 1st and really letting it go until the following week, you just need to stop. Beyond that, we will see whatever social media you follow, whether it's Facebook and all the uncles, aunties, and dads and moms that are on Facebook. They will be posting their selfie with a blurred background because they're trying to take a selfie with the fireworks.
Yeah.
Or you will have the videos that are taking, or you will just have something that's super silly. I think Roche had mentioned it about concerts probably the last few times, where when people are taking videos of concerts and stuff, like, just enjoy the fucking moment. And
what are you going to do
fireworks? And fireworks have been the same forever.
Yeah.
I think you even talked about, hey, you can't claim titles past 15, 20 years. Okay, fireworks. If you take a picture of a firework from 1980, it's going to be the goddamn same in
probably the same,
2024. So
I'm with that one.
Fireworks, just retire them.
I don't necessarily get the point of like shooting them off at your home when there are so many, like every suburb does their own firework. It's like you're not going to get better ones than they shoot off, and there's less risk of needing to go to the emergency room.
Bag up, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry. Put it in reverse. Oh, Lord. Lord, Jesus. Oh, Lord. Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Even like baseball games, like Friday nights or Saturday nights. Oh, we're gonna have fireworks. Let's stay for. Who the fuck
nobody
cares?
cares
Like,
about that.
get out.
Yeah.
Get out of the stadium. Who cares? Sorry.
I'm with it. Okay. These are always a nice segment to Am I Hating? Number one podcast listeners, I'm still looking for the perfect intro to this segment. It seems like you all love it, so we're keeping Am I Hating? Our newest segment, it's not really brand new anymore. Statements that are most likely clearly hating, but it's a safe space, so we drop them anyway. My Am I Hating for this episode is, am I hating if I don't get why people camp? Why on earth would you choose to sleep on the ground outside away from temperature control? Honestly, it's all due respect to all of you out there who convince yourself it's relaxing. I mean, yeah, who wouldn't want to wake up with a sore back and not be able to shower or like have a nice toilet to shit on? Like, yeah, sounds great. You know, it's romantic smelling like absolute BO with your partner out in the wilderness. It's totally cool. The part that always gets me is like, imagine y'all's ancestors realizing that they trekked across land and sea and dealt with these conditions just for you to voluntarily go and revert back to sleeping outside like they had to do so that you could have nice houses. Like, I would just imagine generations ago, like, you're doing what for fun? First of all, what's fun, and why are you going back out there? So, yeah, am I hating? I don't know, probably. Maybe you guys out there hiking are happy being smelly and tired and stiff and not getting good night's sleep. I don't know. Teach their own, I guess.
Have you tried glamping, or would you try glamping?
One of my friends told me about this, and I had to ask, like, I was like, is that staying in a cabin? They're like, no, it's like a nice tent. I'm like, at that point, what's the fucking point?
It's I try to imagine it like it's the Parks and Rec episode where Tom Haverford is like, he's like, all right, we're gonna go camping. And he just has like the generator and everything coming out.
You guys do this a lot, camping?
I've never been before, but I think I'm gonna love it. Why am I gonna love it? Sky Mall. Come check out my tent. I ordered a bunch of crap off Sky Mall. I got my TV, my Xbox, DVD, awesome bed right there. DJ Roomba's in the mix. It's like I'm not even camping. This is actually a dog couch, but it's super comfortable.
Yeah, that's what glamping is. Yeah. I think I had a coworker that went. He's like, yeah, I went glamping, so I couldn't log on to stuff. I was like, isn't that supposed to be like Wi-Fi and all that shit like already with it? And like, what's the point? Like, you could go to like
stay at a hotel or something. I don't know.
Or you could just go and stay like near a national park and still like in a resort type thing, and then you can go hike and you can still.
I don't know why you do that either, but
explore outside without. Yeah, and then like you have to bear-proof shit, and no matter what part of the country you're in, like who cares? My am I hating is dogs that are basically off their leash in front of the yards.
Oh no!
In front yards. I love to walk my dogs. Those that know me know that I have a point of making sure I get 10,000 steps. I get made fun of by my wife, by my family for walking around the house to make sure I get 10K steps. I haven't missed 10K steps since November 2020. It's an internal competitive thing. That's not the point here.
I'm definitely hating on that.
Yeah, I walk my dogs. And there are so many times where there are dogs that are basically off leash. It might look like there's an electric fence, but there's a few times where the owner's like, oh shit, I forgot the collar. So they just went out. And I'm like, so both of my dogs are over 85 pounds.
Yeah.
And they can probably take most dogs and hurt them pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So usually if I know a neighbor and I have their cell phone or whatever, I'll be like, passive aggressively, like, hopefully your dog's okay when they fucking attack my dogs. I fucking hate it. Like, I don't know if I'm hating because to each their own, there's some wonderful dogs. But for the most part, when a dog sees another dog, they're going to lunge, they're going to want to play, they're going to want to be friendly. And the other dog might not think of it as a friendly game.
I feel that. I think that's just basic consideration, so I don't think you're hating on that. Okay, number one podcast listeners, let's switch over to who you got and what you feeling. I told you I'd recap our finals picks. Me and Roche picked the NBA Finals and in how many games. Roche thought the Mavs would win in 7. I thought the Celtics in 7. The result was obviously the Celtics in 5 games, and those were not particularly close. Okay, this episode, I wanted to get your take on some contenders in the NBA with the moves we talked about. Are the Knicks real contenders in the East? Are the Sixers? If neither, who are the Celtics' biggest competition, we'll say, in the East?
So, as you're saying this question, I want to still say Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought Milwaukee until you said something about it. I think the Knicks are real contenders in the East because they were last year, and they've only added some more firepower. Yes, they lost some depth, but I think they're getting some people that were injured back, like Mitchell Robinson, even some of those role players. The Sixers, I just don't know. And something always happens to Embiid. I hate it. He was the MVP a couple years ago, but for the most part, not being able to perform in the postseason, you can only do that so many times until we're going to call you a James Harden, right? So I'm still saying no to the Sixers. I like the Knicks still, but I think the Bucks are right there with the Celtics because unless Porzingis is healthy and if Giannis is healthy, I don't think anyone can really match up with Giannis.
Yep.
Even on anyone in the East, and I think that's why the Bucks are probably the second biggest next to the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I don't consider the Sixers a contender in the East. I don't think they're going to be bad, but if we're talking about final 2 teams, I don't see it in the Sixers because you're looking at a team who hasn't made it past very far in the playoffs, adding someone who's also known to disappear in the playoffs in Paul George. And you're putting your money in that everybody's going to come around in the playoffs. So I don't see it happening for the Sixers. I do think Knicks are real contenders, like you said. And yeah, I said it earlier. I think it's still the Bucks if they're healthy. Now, Giannis is out. You see what happens to their team. But I do still think it's the Celtics to lose. They're just running back their entire roster. So I don't foresee them, assuming health, obviously, which we always hope for. I can't see them not coming out of the East as it presently stands.
Yep.
Let's move on to what you feeling. I'll go first and let you chime in here. What I'm feeling lately is Pusha T and Malice confirming the return of Clips. They got a new album produced entirely by Pharrell coming soon. I'm really pumped about that. It's a long time coming. They haven't had an album since I think it was 2009 was till the casket dropped. So yeah, pumped about that. Also,
over 10 years ago.
Crazy. Yeah. It's a title we can't. Apparently, some of you want to claim. Another couple TV shows came back: House of Dragon season 2 and The Bear season 3. So I'm all about those 2 shows. I believe you got me into The Bear originally. Probably, I think it was just after season 1.
Yeah.
And obviously, House of Dragon's huge. So love that show and all the production that goes behind it. What about you? What are you feeling lately?
Yeah. Yes to all. Yeah. So let's go with the return of Clips.
Yeah.
It's a long time coming. I know Pusha's been producing things and has been releasing a lot of cool things. And then
he's released some great stuff in the meantime. Yeah.
Just having Malice come back is going to be great. And just seeing how they tie everything back to cocaine and the, and how that works in 2024, 2025, whenever that album comes out. Love the 2 shows that you mentioned, House of Dragon and The Bear. I really didn't catch up with House of the Dragon until like the off season, but I've been watching season 2 almost weekly, which is nice. And my wife and I, we just finished season 3 of The Bear. So won't do any spoilers or anything. I think that's for a different time when everyone's had a chance to look at it. The one thing that I wanted to mention on here, I don't mean to be political by any means. I know we all saw kind of what happened recently, and I just wanted to make sure if it was okay with you to mention this. And it was Kendrick Lamar's
nice
pop out concert. That his most recent video that just dropped. So it's just a new level of hate that I love to see. Me being a little bit older like you are, we have that historical reference of Pac and Jay-Z and Nas and some of the diss tracks that went back and forth between all of them, and that West Coast, East Coast that Pac and Biggie had. But what Kendrick Lamar did with his pop-out concert, what he's doing to Drake right now, is just next level shit. He basically just created an anthem that's going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Right? This concert where he played this Not Like Us back to back.
Yeah.
To back.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I lost track.
6 times. Yeah.
6 times. And then just the video is just truly incredible. So that's what I'm feeling. Is just Kendrick Lamar essentially cementing himself as the best rap artist of the newest generation.
Yeah.
Right. It was a toss up between Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
And J. Cole, yeah.
And J. Cole, I guess. Yeah. But I think Kendrick Lamar has now just said, fuck you, Drake.
Yeah.
I see all of your top streams, top albums. I raise you my Grammys. I raise you my Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
And I am going to just shit on you and continually bring you back alive just to kill you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I like Drake, and I'll listen to him, but I've never really been a Drake's fan in general, just because some of the music's not for it. But Kendrick Lamar doing what he did is just there.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that live when it came out, that concert. It was truly felt like a lot of people I knew were watching it at the same time. A lot of people tuned into it. It felt like a big moment in music, hip hop history. So
cultural history. Yeah,
that's a better way to put it. Okay. Well, we like to wrap up each episode. You number one podcast listeners, let's hit that too much sense. Okay, I caught this quote, in the social media abyss, but this one was a good one, so I was glad it found its way to me. This is from author Elizabeth Foley, who said the following, quote, "The most beautiful discovery true friends make is that they can grow separately without growing apart," end quote. I love this, especially now. You don't need to see or speak to a best friend all the time, but when you do, I think the emphasis of this quote is that it's like no time has passed. Everybody, I hope everybody out there, you number one podcast listeners, have someone like that in your life where you may not talk to them all the time, but when you do, it's like no time's passed. As an extrovert and social person myself, I had to really do a lot of work in learning to accept that not seeing someone that's close to me all the time isn't an indictment on that relationship, whether it's friendship, family, whatever, significant other. And I am very glad I did do that pre having kids, because this concept is very important and something you have to accept, embrace, and appreciate once you do have children, because there is less time to see some of those other folks in your life.
Yep.
But having the confidence in your relationships and the work you've done with people, in knowing that just because you're not talking all the time doesn't mean that the love isn't there and that your relationship is any less strong because of it. So I love the concept of true friends knowing that they can continue to grow and embrace new parts of their life without feeling like you're growing apart from that person.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, number one podcast listeners, that does it for a brand new episode of the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. You already know we had to talk a lot of NBA. More varieties coming. We did fit in some hockey. We know you come here for your hockey news, so we had to do that for you. So, you number one podcast listeners, we appreciate you. You know the drill. Share the episode. Tag us on social media. Tell a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Leave us a review. Subscribe. All that good stuff. We so appreciate you, number one podcast listeners. I love making creme brulee, and a big reason is all of you out there. So I really do appreciate you. I've been your host, Premal Bhatt. That's been my big bro and co-host, Vish Bhatt. Thank you for joining me, man.
Yep, absolutely.
It's fun to get back after it. And
yep,
you number one podcast listeners, we will talk to you again soon.
Peace out.